Morning, Sue. How are you doing?
Good. I've been for a nice run this morning, and I gather you have too.
I went for a run, and apparently I think I ran past your house and you ran past my house at very different times. We did a little wave to each other, didn't we?
You did, and it's a gorgeous sunrise this morning. Did you see the red sky over the sea? It was absolutely stunning.
It was such a beautiful morning. I just felt so blessed, so grateful. And I ran past Narrowneck Beach and the sun hadn't come up yet, so the horizon just looked all just magical and misty. And then I ran up the road, and as I was running back, I got to the end of one big long road, and the sun was huge at the end. And I just had to stand there for a moment and go, oh, wow. So yeah, it was
I
very
think you were
beautiful.
running in the opposite direction as me, but I tell you one thing I did notice: there's so many more runners out at that time. I was having to cross the road, run in the road, and the other thing, of course, is that you can run in the road because there's so few cars. There were barely any cars. I think I saw one bus which was empty, and it did the circuit empty, and a few cars. It was just lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely time for gratitude. Absolutely. So we'll get into it. Today we are talking about thought patterns. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we talk about thought patterns a lot in all our podcasts because we know the importance of words, and the words we use influence our thought patterns, and our thought patterns influence our behavior, and at the end of the day our behavior influences our life. So I'm just going to say a little quote because we are queen of quotes and we love them. So the first one I found was, peace of mind arrives the moment you come to peace with the contents of your mind. Because at the end of the day, we've all got a million billion thoughts going on in our head, but it's how we choose to cope with them thoughts. And the next one I found, which I think explains it even better, is you drown not by falling into a river, but by staying submerged in it.
Yeah, and that's a choice, isn't it? If you're in a river and you are drowning, we can choose then to have help to come out, to help ourselves to come out, or actually carry on drowning. That's choice.
Exactly. And that's what it means, so obviously we've all got these thoughts going on in our head, and the peace will only come once we're accepting of those thoughts. And again, it's that word again, acceptance, acceptance, acceptance. And it is a hard word. It sounds very easy, but once we learn to accept things, whether it's our own thoughts, our own words, our past, our present, our situation, whatever it is, it's the first step to healing and a growth mindset, I'd say.
Absolutely. And I think since we are in lockdown, most people around the world are in some form of isolation. If it's not lockdown, it's self-isolation. Then we have 30 days, 60 days, whatever it's going to be, to actually retrain our thoughts and change the patterns that we then have established according to those thoughts. So it's a great time now to say, let's take 10 days, let's take 15 days to change those thoughts. And it's possible. And one of the things we're going to do on our recording today is teach our listeners how to change thoughts, because it's one thing to say change your thoughts, but it's something else to actually know how to do it.
Yeah, because somebody said to me the other week, well, I'm not like you. I don't think like you. I wish I did think like you. And I'm thinking, but I didn't always think like this. I taught myself to be this way. It's like with anything, isn't it? We talk about general fitness of our body. I haven't always been this fit. I haven't always been able to run. Neither of you, Sue. You run by putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going one step at a time. And it's exactly the same with training your brain. And there's so much science out there now, which I absolutely love, that tangible science that shows neuroplasticity. We can change our thought patterns. It just takes practice. And I love it.
It so does. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because listeners might think, well, does changing your thoughts really change your life that much? Can your thoughts impact your life? Is it possible? Well, what I would say to you in answer to that is that we all know what it's like to be surrounded by really positive people. There's such a lovely energy about them. We want to be near them all the time. We want to absorb some of that energy. We also all know what it's like for that one person that's always niggling, always complaining, and you're surrounded by them, and then you come away feeling really down and low, and you've picked up some of that energy that surrounds them. And sometimes people say to me, so you're such a positive person, you really enjoy life. And I think, gosh, that's interesting, isn't it? Because I choose to focus on those things which are positive. It doesn't mean my life is amazing and brilliant the whole time. Everybody's life is possibly up and down a lot of the time, but I choose to focus on those things that I'm grateful for. And so I probably have as many issues in life and struggles as everybody else, but I choose to focus on those things. And that's what we really want to get out of this session, isn't it, Jo? That it's a choice. We can choose and we can change. And don't get me wrong, I have to do it every single day, and a lot of the time I get it very badly wrong, but it's a process and it's a journey, and I'm prepared to go on that journey, and so are you.
And also remember that you're never going to get it perfect all the time, like what you've just said. Yes, we are generally positive people, but like, in all honesty, I had a moment at the beach this morning. I had this moment where my chest tightened, I got engulfed by some stuff, and I think a song literally jolted some memories, and I got into this thought pattern. I got a bit upset, and I went, whoa, that's a bit crazy. But one of the first things I did was I accepted it rather than fight it, because I have trained myself to do that. Whereas in the past, like many, many years ago, that thought would have come in my head. It would have engulfed me. I would have maybe tried to fight it off. All of these words and thoughts would have been going around in my head. And then it perhaps would have really altered my entire day, or maybe even week. And then it would have I was in that depressive circle going round and round and round. Whereas today, I had a moment on the beach, accepted it, and actually allowed myself to feel it all, everything. And it is painful. It's not always easy. However, it's so good, because then I come back, have a shower, feel cleansed, and I'm still thinking about what happened, because there's obviously a reason why it happened. So I'm going to address it, heal from it, learn from it, but it's not engulfing me the way it once did, because I've trained my brain.
And that engulfing, as you talk about, can lead to a very quick downward spiral, can't it? So I think one of the critical times in the day for a lot of people is the first thing when they wake in the morning, when they can't see a focus for their day, they can't see purpose, they can't see hope. So they wake up in darkness, and it could even be that they were in a really good place the day before, but they had a bad dream. They had a dream which really turned them on their edge, and then they woke up that negative feeling. And that is a really critical time to be aware of it. Be aware of your feelings when you wake up in the morning, and be aware that those feelings can actually dictate the rest of your day. And very easily they become, oh, I'm just going to stay in bed for another hour. I'm not going to get up early. I'm not going to do the work I was going to do. I'm not going to have a shower. I'll just go down and have something to eat. And then it's comfort eating. You go into that negative spiral. But it's very critical that at that moment when you wake, you catch those thoughts. And you don't throw them away, as you say, Jo. You actually hold them, and you become aware of them, and you actually accept them for what they are. But you can make a choice at that point. And Jo and I have both done this in our lives. For those of you that don't know me, I've written a book about my story, which was 3 children being abducted when I was pregnant with my 4th. And I would come home to empty cots at night, and the children weren't there. I'd had 3 babies that had gone. I was pregnant on my own with my 4th. And the first thing in the morning I'd wake with such hopelessness. But even then, I would choose to turn those thoughts around into, well, I've got to fight to get my children home. And if I fall into a mess, then those children are not going to come home. I have a sense of responsibility sitting on my shoulders. So you can turn those thoughts around. And I had to practice, because it was so easy just to stay in bed all day, pull the covers over, and maybe take drugs or drink myself away into oblivion, because it was so painful. But I chose not to. And that's the message here, is that no matter how you wake, no matter what thoughts come in your head during the day, it is possible to take hold of them. But that's the critical thing, I think, Jo, that you're talking about. On the beach, you took hold of those thoughts, you caught them, you didn't dismiss them, you didn't run away from them. And from that place there, that's when we can change them.
Absolutely. And what you were just saying about the first thing in the morning, when I was training my brain, when it was all new to me, one of the first things I would say in the morning, I would just kind of wake up and go, and I'd talk to myself, good morning, I'm so excited for this day ahead. I'm so excited to see what opportunities or possibilities come my way. Something like that. Or good morning, it's another beautiful morning. I'm so pleased. I'm so grateful to have air in my lungs, because some people just didn't wake up this morning. And so rather than, like you say, being engulfed in everything that you've got to face, because as we both know, we've both been through some severe suffering and adversity, rather than focus on that, I focused on the good. So And even though I didn't mean it all the time, because I didn't know what the day was going to bring. And some days, even now, everything just gets thrown at you. And you're like, whoa, where's that coming from? But literally the first 7 or 8 seconds mold our day and can mold our mood. So it was like, good morning, I'm so pleased, I'm so happy. It's all, again, it's the change of words. It's almost like if you say to yourself, oh God, I'm really tired, I'm really, really tired. Well, then how do you feel? You feel even more heavy and more tired. Whereas if you say to yourself, well, I might get my second wind soon, you've just instantly changed it around.
And the interesting thing about that, Jo, is that lots of people would say to you, but Jo, I understand what you're saying and speaking of your life, but I don't feel those things, so I can't say it. But actually, it's the other way around. You have to say them in the absence of feeling them. You don't say words because you feel them. You feel because you've said the words.
Absolutely. It's like the whole thing about self-love. When I was training myself to love myself, I'd look at myself in the mirror and go, hi, beautiful, lovely to see you. Give myself a really big smile, look myself in the eye. Did I feel beautiful? No. But you know what? After a while, I did. And I could start to see the good bits of me, and then the bad bits didn't seem so bad anymore. And now I just don't give a toss. Do you know what I mean? But it didn't just happen like that. It didn't just happen overnight. We know it takes approximately 21 days to create a good habit.
But that's not long, is it?
It's not long.
It's not 21 years or 21 months. That is not long, is it? You can actually see the success at the end. 21 days is countable. It's measurable.
Absolutely 3 short weeks of your life. For goodness sake, do you know, anything is worth 3 short weeks. So it takes 21 days to create a good habit. And then once you've created a good habit and it's within you, then all of a sudden it becomes part of your lifestyle. And once it becomes part of your lifestyle, it's no longer a chore. It's like what we talked about the other day. Brushing your teeth is not a chore because you've been doing it, you've had it programmed in you since you were a child. Having lunch or dinner or breakfast is generally not a chore. Okay, sometimes it can be a pain in the bum making it for everybody else, but you eat because you're programmed to eat. You sleep because you are programmed to sleep. These are all things that are part of your lifestyle, and it's you choose how you would like your life to look. If you want to live in negativity, we can't really help you. However, if you want to turn stuff around and you actually want a different outcome, well, we know what we're talking about because we've done it. We've done all the hard work.
And one good key, I think, before you start to change is to catch yourself with the words and the vocabulary and the sentences you're using each day, and to write it down. Have a diary where you then write down what you were speaking about in a conversation on the phone to a girlfriend. What were you telling her about your day? Were you saying the children were fighting and I've had a really awful day? Write down what you're saying, because it's quite interesting at the end of the day then to realize that a lot of what we say is very negative. We see a friend and it's, gosh, I had such a hard day yesterday, I wish things would get better, or lockdown is really tough. Catch yourself saying it in the first place. When I was in a really difficult situation all those years ago, I actually had little post-it notes and I wrote little words of positive affirmation all over the wall, and I would read each one every single day. I'd just go through them because I thought, I can't speak that over my life, but these are somebody else's words, quotes I'd found online, and I'd read them, and sure enough, one by one, each one would start to happen.
Absolutely. I wish I could like take you on a tour of my house right now, because I literally still to this very day have affirmations everywhere. And so it's quite subliminal, but my children read them all the time. Like, I've got one in front of me now saying she believes she could, so she did. I'm inspired by the people in my life, and all things like that. I am good enough. I've still got that written up there. Never stop learning. Love yourself first. But I have them. That's just all in front of me on my dream board. But I've got pictures over there about having a good heart and a nice soul. And then I've got some in my bedroom. So the children go around the house and there's just words everywhere. But they're all beautiful, beautiful words. I've got things on the fridge about being positive. And have you got a quote there? What does yours say?
If you realise that you have enough, you are truly rich. That's Lao Tzu, because I think it's amazing. Absolutely. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, and a stranger into a friend. And that was Melody Beatty.
Oh, I love that.
One more. There are 2 things to aim at in life. First, get what you want, and after that, enjoy it. Only the wisest of mankind achieve the seconds.
So true.
Print them off. There's loads of really good ones on Pinterest. Pinterest is where I go to. I love Pinterest.
We are quote queens. We love it. So, okay. So first step of changing your thought pattern.
Well, I've got 15 steps.
15?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, we'll be here all day.
We will. But you're going to overlap with mine. Number 1, create positive affirmations. That's what I've just talked about just now. Our actions are the practical manifestation of our thoughts. So create those positive affirmations over yourself, like Joe's talked about already. What you're going to say over yourself at the beginning of the day: I love you, you're beautiful, all those words of affirmation. Print them off, put them on your wall, start saying them.
Yeah, and I'd say step 1, kind of step 2, is start the day with a good thought. You know, you choose what it's going to be. You choose your words. Don't have to use our words. You know, good morning, beautiful, or yay, the sun's up, or whatever. And also a really good one as well, because sometimes, you know, that first thing in the morning, if you're not feeling that great and you don't want to get out of bed, Mel Robbins does a great thing. You know, she does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. So you can be in bed, you can be, oh, I don't want to get up, I don't want to face the day, I want to pull the duvet over my head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Don't even think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. And you know what? That rule works in a lot of stuff. Oh, do I really want to put the laundry out? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it. Do I really want to go exercise? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go start. Because it is so amazing how much you can stop procrastinating. And once you actually start achieving things, think about how much better you feel. Because how much time do we not do things? And then we beat ourselves up for not doing them. Whatever it may be, you know, brush your teeth, comb your hair, have a shower, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it. So yeah, start the day with a good thought.
It's interesting, so as you're saying that, I'm thinking of my 4 children, because obviously we do this with our children, go and brush your teeth, get out of bed. And it's quite comforting to have somebody else tell us what to do in many ways. So as an adult then, we often wait for somebody else to say, right, it's time to get out of bed, or it's time to do this. And we want to, but actually we have to transfer that to being responsible for ourselves, being responsible for those words we say. We can say to ourselves what we'd also say to our children. We need to have that voice inside our head where we own it.
Totally.
So number 2, 3, you've just said number 2, 3, apply a full stop. I quite like this one. Put a full stop to what's happened in the past, because often we can live in the past and therefore we're living in, if only he hadn't have done this to me, if only she hadn't have this, if my parents had this, if I hadn't have failed at school, if that opportunity hadn't have passed me by. Stop living in the past, put a full stop to it. It's happened. You can't change any of it. It is what it is. The future, don't live in the future. One day I'll be happy when this happens. When I fall in love, when I get the right job, when I get the promotion, when my kids leave home, when I have a baby. Don't live in the future. Live right in the present now. So put a full stop on the past and don't go to the future. Be present in today. This is all we're ever going to have. It's never, ever going to be anything. You'll never be in the future. You can't go back to the past. The present moment is all you'll ever have.
And within that, I'll just extend on that a little bit. If you're going to blame somebody for something in your life, you also have to thank them. And this is this is what Tony Robbins teaches people. And he is such an advocate of this. If you are going to blame your parents for being abusive, you also have to thank them for turning them in feet, for helping you be the person you are today. Because you wouldn't have that tenacious attitude, you wouldn't be caring of others, you wouldn't be, you wouldn't be an advocate against bullying if that hadn't happened to you. Now, I'm not saying the past was okay, but accept it. And also, if you're going to blame them, thank them.
Good point. Good point. Love it. Stop wallowing in self-pity. We can all do that very easily, can't we? Woe is me. I've had the hard life. If only everybody understood that my life is harder than everybody else's. She's got an easy life. That family really happy. I haven't got that success. I don't have that much money. They don't understand I'm only in a rented property, not owning my own home. Nobody understands my circumstances, what I've been through. Stop wallowing. Put a stop to it. You have to say to yourself, you have to use your name. You have to say, Susan, stop it. You just have to keep speaking to yourself.
And with that, the opposite side of that is gratitude. And this is what we talk about. So if you're going to be in self-pity, why me mode, you're a victim. Now, if you want to be a victim, go ahead and be a victim. And I'm going to be really hard hit now. Be a freaking victim. However, that's not empowering. We have talked about empowerment the other day. Victim mode is not empowering. We are all victims of something. And some people out there have the most hideous of lives, and they are, you know, we are all victims of something. There's no comparison. Absolutely not. So not why me, oh, pity, pity, pity. No. What am I going to do now? How can I change this? What am I going to do for me to make me feel better? Now, the first thing you can do is stop using those negative words.
Good point. Good point.
Good point. I'm being very bossy today, Sue.
Everything has an opposite. Every single thing in life has an equal and opposite. So you're so right. Turn into the opposite.
So I was going to say, finish off with that though, about gratitude. And this, we go on about gratitude so much. If you find things to be grateful for in your life, and Sue and I have talked about this, you can listen to all our podcasts, you can listen to both of our stories. At our darkest time, we found the smallest things to be grateful for, whether that was air in our lungs, clean water from the taps, a bit of food in the cupboard, the fact that we had shelter, warmth, and some people that cared for us. And then we'd go outside and we'd be thankful for the beach, or thankful for, you know, nature, things growing, things dying, things evolving. We found things to be grateful for. And so whenever you do find yourself going into that pity party, it's, once you train in your brain, you start to find things that you're grateful for, rather than why. You go, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that, you know, I've got 4 children. I'm so grateful I've got a home, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, there you go.
Well, that brings me to my next one, which is count your joys, because I think that's such a powerful one. One of the things I did in my darkest moment was kept a gratitude journal. I remember somebody at church saying, if you can just write down 10 things at the end of every day that you're grateful for. And I couldn't do it to begin with. You know, it's really hard to get to 3 things because my children are gone. How could I be grateful even for the air I was breathing? Because I wanted to be dead. If they weren't there, I didn't want to live. That's how bad it was. But, you know, it went from 3 till 5 to 7 till then I did get to 10. And then, as you say, the things got bigger and bigger as I started to notice more things. And I was really grateful for an incredible lawyer that I had, you know, just things that came my way. And I started then to notice how the universe was bringing things my way that I could be grateful for. And it was almost like the universe saying to me, now you're grateful, Sue, I can actually start giving you what you need. Whether you call it God or the universe or energy, whatever you want to call it, there's an abundance out there that you can step into. But all the while you're living in negativity and hopelessness, the universe can't give it to you because you wouldn't notice it. So start noticing the small things and the bigger things come your way. So when you come into joy, then what happens is you turn your denial into acceptance, your chaos into order, your confusion into clarity. And as it said in that lovely word there that I read out, meals become feasts, houses become home, and strangers become friends. Everything starts to completely transform in your life.
It's like, you know what, me in my old days, I used to think people didn't like me. I'd walk into like a big group of people, like a big crowd, and I'd think, oh God, people aren't going to like me. Because I can be a bit loud and a bit gregarious. And I find it really hard to put a lid on that, to be honest with you, because it's just who I am. But I felt like I needed to put a lid on it for people to like me. So that was my thought patterns. Because I wasn't really liking me, I'd walk into a room and assume everybody hated me. Whereas now I walk in and assume everybody's going to love me. And if they don't, I don't really even notice and I don't really care.
But the thing is, then they do, don't they? They do. I mean, you walk into a room and everybody does love you because of the energy that you have, and you've changed those thoughts. And it's remarkable actually how you can change the physicalness of life around you because you change those thoughts.
And I was talking to somebody yesterday because a lady just asked me, it was quite a funny question. She asked me, she said, the people that you're surrounded with, are they like you? Are they like beacons of light like you? Or are you different to everybody who you are around? And I was a bit like, actually though, you know, you get back in what you put out, don't you? So I think if you are in a negative frame of mind and quite down on yourself, then you will come across quite antagonistic people who are also negative, people who want to gossip, people who want to moan. And you're in that same kind of circle. As soon as you become happy within yourself with these amazing thought patterns, then all of a sudden you attract these people. You attract like for like, basically. And no, we're not all the same, but my tribe of people are so special and so lovely. And look, I've got you in my life, Sue, my other little beacon of light.
And what do they say? You are the sum total of the 5 people that you spend most time with.
well, as you and me are practically married and hang out together all the time, I'm quite happy because I like you and I admire you, so I'm happy to be like you.
So choose your friends. Choose your friends, because the energy that they exude or don't exude becomes what you absorb.
Here, here.
Enjoy your achievements. What have I achieved in my life? Rather than sitting here thinking, gosh, I don't have a job right now and everybody else is out there doing really good things. What have you achieved in your life? Have you had children? That's an amazing achievement. You don't need to have the career as such to become somebody with a title or a label. You are a mother or you're a father, and you have this incredible role and responsibility to look after your children. And that is a role and responsibility in itself. So many achievements. What else have you achieved in your life? Look at the little things and be grateful for them.
Absolutely. And then also write a list of the things that you're good at. And they don't have to be big, massive things. It's like your achievements don't have to be big, massive things. What is an achievement to one person as to another? It's not, again, it's not about comparison. That's a big one. Do not compare. But yeah, write a list of your achievements. Write a list of the things that you're good at. I've got this big list that I wrote when I was first on my self-love journey. And it's got things like, I can make banana cake. Can't make any other cake, but I didn't focus on that. I didn't focus on the fact that I can't make other cakes. I focused on the fact that I can make banana cake and I make it really nice. And then I focused on, I can make a really good playlist for a party. I'm really good at that shit. But it's like, it doesn't even sound like much to people, but I wrote this list because first of all, you start thinking, what am I good at? I'm not good at anything. We are all good at something and we've all achieved something. On my list of achievements was I passed my driving test first time. I thought that was a great achievement for me.
Because I didn't.
But you see, it doesn't matter, does it? It's not about comparing. It's about doing things for you. And once you start writing these things down, because at the end of the day, our message to people is you are enough, you are worthy, and you don't have to prove any of that. You are worthy just for getting up in the morning. You are worthy just for being you, and you are enough. However, for us to feel like that, sometimes we have to help program our brain, and that's what we're trying to help you do. So write a list of the things you're good at, write a list of your achievements.
And you can step out of your comfort zone and do the things that you feel insecure about, because Jo approached me about 9 months ago, even a year ago, and said, did you want to do a podcast? And I just went, yeah, great, let's do one. And then when she left, I thought, why would I want to do a podcast? Do I need to be live? People need to listen to what I need to have something to say to do a podcast. And it's interesting because then we started a podcast, didn't we, Jo, with no equipment. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't do any courses. We just literally recorded ourselves in some cupboard on a freezing cold day in Jo's closet and laughed and just said, one day we'll put these out. But we couldn't put them live, no way, because we just giggled. One day we said, when we're doing training courses to train people how to do podcasts, we'll play these because this is what you don't do when you're doing a podcast. We put ourselves out there and we've learned and we've grown. But the thing is, today we still compare ourselves to others that are better than ourselves. And somebody came to us a few months ago and said, can you help me learn how to do a podcast? And it was at that stage, I think we realized how much we'd learned. And it's just because we put ourselves out there.
Yep. And I think once you do get out your comfort zone, you actually feel really good about it as well, don't you? It's that little fear in your tummy, that funny little butterfly feeling, oh, I never want to do it. And it's I think that's really healthy fear. I think that's a really good fear because you care about something. But once you actually go and try it, I mean, we've messed up a few times and we've snorted laughing and we've almost cried. And that's all fine. It's all part of the process. But we've put ourselves out there and it's felt really good. Like when some people have agreed to come on the podcast at the beginning because we were a little bit insecure. We didn't know what we were doing. I remember standing on Sue's doorstep, screaming, jumping up and down, oh my God, they've agreed to come on, yay! And we were like, we had a little happy dance, didn't we? Whereas now we're like, yeah, they're coming on. Because we're a bit more confident about what we're doing now. It's great because we overcome our fear.
Great. Step outside your comfort zone. Take a risk. That's when you grow. I've got a lovely one here, which is change your body posture. And somebody said to me once, you don't walk in a slump with your shoulders low because you're depressed walking down the street. You actually, if you feel depressed, you hold your shoulders back, you hold your head up high, you imagine you're wearing a crown on your head and you walk with authority down the street and suddenly you feel it.
I was just looking for my crown, but I couldn't find it. I was just going to put it on.
Oh no, I took it off because I went swimming.
I did sit up straighter when you said that. I generally have a good posture, but I sat up even straighter.
Lift your shoulders up, hold your head up high and walk down the street. And then kind of wave your shoulders around. You feel a sense of authority. You feel confident in who you are. because your body posture will change your thoughts and feelings and mood, not your mood changing your body posture. We don't walk down the street with our shoulders high because that's necessarily what we feel. We create what we feel by our body. Our body's a manifestation of our thoughts and feelings.
And also, when your body is in good posture, your breath can get through your body a lot easier. You know, when we breathe in, it can get to our organs better, because if we're slumped, it's making everything harder. We're supposed to be upright. We're supposed to have our shoulders open so that the air can get to our lungs better. And actually just everything flows a bit easier through your body. It's better for you, much nicer. So you're right, happy vibes.
Next one, allow yourself to be playful and childlike. What effect does that have on you, Jo?
Well, remember what you used to like doing as a kid. And we don't really change that much from being 5 years old, to be fair. I mean, we still have mental age of 5, don't we, Sue, when we're doing stupid things? And why wouldn't we? I mean, it just makes you feel so much better when you laugh. And that's what I love about my girlfriends. Like, we can literally get together, and if one of us is having an issue, we talk it out, we accept it, we cry, we snot, we tears, it's all of that, you know, whatever. But within about 15, 20 minutes, we are absolutely laughing our head off, because we're all a bit goofy, we're all a bit silly. We've all got something to laugh about. And in the depths of despair, and I mean depths of despair, we have laughed. And doesn't mean you're not going to go back and cry. That's all part of the process as well. But in that moment, you feel so much light, and it gives that energy to your body, that zest, that zing. I love it. I love laughing.
And laughing releases endorphins in our body, which are the happy endorphins. So there's two things about children. One is innocence, and two is their laughter, their sense of fun. So the innocence, we can come out of the turmoil and the turbulence of life by going into that childlike innocence. We get together with friends and we have a laugh. And the second one is to laugh, because it really is healing. It's a physical activity. So one of the things our body does to heal it from stress and from pain and trauma. So go back into a childlike state. Don't think it's being immature, because we will have that child within us. We are our child and our adult. And that's, as Jo said earlier, everything has two opposites, two sides to it. So obviously we have our immature child, but we also have our mature child as well. So be that child, be free, be carefree in the midst of the struggle and the pain and the strife. And you've got lovely girlfriends you can do that with. You won't be able to do that with everybody. Some girlfriends or male friends or grandparents or family members are for serious conversations. Some are for having a laugh with. So choose who you do that with, and know that you've got those friends that you can go to, or family members you can go to have a laugh, to be in your childlike state.
Yeah, and get rid of inhibitions, because does it matter what other people think? You know, like I was on holiday with my mum and sister a while ago. We were all there, the children were there and everything as well. And we were in a shop, we were out shopping, and there was some really cool music on. So me and my sister start getting funky, start dancing in the middle of this shop. My mum joins in, she's dancing like Mick Jagger. Absolutely freaking hilarious, let me tell you. My mum's about 5'2" and she's strutting around the shop like Mick Jagger. So funny. And anyway, all the staff just thought it was great. My children kind of looked at us and maybe wandered off a little bit further away from us. And they were like, you just don't care, do you? But they didn't try to stop us, because they just knew that would be futile. And we just danced and let it go, and who cares? You know, there's people in the shop, but I think sometimes then people really want to join in with you. It's great.
Not when teenagers want to be around, though, is it really?
No, but I don't care.
No. Well, that's the good thing, Jo, isn't it? Next one. Oh, I can hear a baby crying outside. Do you know what? It's really interesting. There's a shop outside, and there's a queue, because they only let one person in at a time because of lockdown. And what do they call it? So not social isolation, the distant thing.
Social distancing.
Social distancing. So everybody's waiting outside our house now. Baby out there. Be a master of your own moods. Don't be a servant. So if you're a servant to your own moods, you become underneath them, whereas you want to master them and be on top of them, so you've got control over them. Understand the difference between being a servant to your moods and thoughts and being a master to them. And when those thoughts come, the moods come, you can say, actually, I'm in charge of you. You can go away and you're going to change into this. So speak to those thoughts and realize you're the master, not the servant.
Yeah, and within that, also put boundaries in place on other people's moods. Be careful about that, because we can absorb other people's moods so easy, and especially if we're trying to work on ourselves and we're still in a bit of a negative mind frame. once you're in a more positive mind frame, it is easier to put that boundaries in place about people, but do be careful about who you spend time with. Yes, you sometimes have to go out and spend time with negative people, but choose when you do that. Choose it to do it when you're perhaps in a stronger place, because it's so easy when you're not feeling mentally strong to go out there to see a friend or a loved one or a colleague, and if they're in a real negative or bad mood, or just setting off some vibes, it's so easy to absorb that. And be careful about taking on other people's problems. If they're having marital issues or friendship issues, be careful it doesn't penetrate you. It's okay to listen and to understand and to be there for people, but try not to let it affect you, because all too often you can walk in the house and you can all of a sudden be your problem when it's actually not at all.
Boundaries was going to be my next one, so that's a really good one, Jo. And I'm thinking also about teenagers listening and university students listening, people in their 20s listening. It's something that is really important to learn, especially for those of you that are much more nurturing and caring and sensitive, is that you pick up on everybody else's issues, and a lot of people will come to you to have their problems resolved, and you need to put boundaries around yourself and say, actually, they are not my responsibility. I'm responsible for myself. I can be a good friend, but I don't need to constantly pick up the pieces for people that will always come to me. Put boundaries around yourself, and sometimes just don't even answer the text, because if you answer a text or a message or something on social media, instantly they'll message you again, waiting for that instant response, and your whole day then becomes about rescuing. And rescuing mentality is not a healthy mentality. Be there for somebody, but rescuing meets a need in you, and it's an ego thing which feeds your ego. You feel better because you're rescuing somebody else, but it's not healthy. Don't do the rescuing thing.
No, exactly. And then also, just a little tip for that though, if you are somebody's go-to person, because there's, as I say, there's lots of things going on. People have lifelong illnesses, marital issues, problems with their children. There's multitudes of issues out there. And if you are somebody's go-to person, be aware that you are that, and be aware how it's affecting you. And if it is penetrating you a little bit, try and find something to shake it off. And that might be literally going for a 40-minute walk, because I don't know anybody who doesn't go leave the house in one mood and come back slightly happier. So you can shake it off. It might even be something as like visual or physical, like going to have a shower and actually washing it away. Visualize it all going, okay, I've got it, but I'm actually letting it all go. Or it might just be sitting down having a cup of tea, 5 minutes to yourself in total peace and quiet. There is ways to get rid of it as well, so just to be aware of that.
Awesome. You're going to like this one, Jo. Honor your body.
Absolutely. Always honor your body. Be grateful for your body. And you know what? You may have a wobbly bottom or saggy boobs or big thighs or big calves in my case, as my children forever pointing out to me. Just honor your body. It's so amazing. And you know what? You can change it if you want, but you're going to change it so much easier if you honor it where you are now. If you love it now, the changes will come easier. If you are hating on yourself, and you're never going to be happy when you change either. I'm just telling you that.
If you're putting those negative thoughts into your body, it's actually like putting junk food or garbage into a bin, and your body's absorbing it, and it's only going to react to it. It's going to cause sickness. So just remember what you're putting into it. It's not just, we talk about diet, you are what you eat. It's also you are what you think. So you can create sickness in your body, you can create depression in your body by those thoughts, which are food going into your body the whole time. So again, you can prevent the negative, but also focus on the positive. Good exercise, good diet, good sleep. Yeah. Especially now with the virus around, we want to boost our immune system. We want to put less junk food, which also includes thoughts, into our body. We want to put good food and thoughts into our body to create a healthy immune system to fight off what's around. Now more than ever.
Here.
Meditate daily. Love this. You and I both love our quiet time. Sit in quiet time, just absorb, shut everything off. And it's quite hard to meditate because we're again in our thoughts, but just keep coming back. Practice. Quiet time.
I'm saying, no, it's not. And also just be aware that meditating doesn't mean sitting cross-legged with your hands on your legs. You can meditate like that, absolutely. Really good for your posture, sitting up straight. Really good for all your airways. Really good way to relax. However, it doesn't always mean like that. I went for a walk this morning And at the very end of my walk, I took my shoes and socks off. I'm so lucky to live right near one of the most beautiful beaches, as far as I'm concerned, in the entire world. So I took my shoes and socks off. I stood on the beach. The sun was coming up, and I stood there for about 2 minutes. It was pure meditation. I was mindful. I was where I was. I wasn't thinking about other things. I just let the sun penetrate me. I stood there with my eyes shut. I just breathed, listened to the water. That's meditating as well. If you go for a walk in nature and you try to not allow those millions of thoughts coming in, they will pop in, but let them go again. If you're just aware of your feet crunching on the leaves, the sun stippled through the trees, the birds tweeting, that's meditation. You know, Buddhist monks live in meditation their entire life. Because they are always present. They are always there in the moment. They are not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about yesterday. That's meditation as well.
And if you don't have a beautiful beach to walk on, we are very, very privileged here. Then in the garden, go in the garden, just look at the flowers and the plants. If you don't have a garden, then as Jo says, listen to the birds, or have a look at a house plant, some flowers, something beautiful in your house, a piece of wood that you have, something that's natural. Touch it, hold it, feel it.
Go and hug a tree.
And hug a tree is a lovely.
It actually really works, that stuff. It's so bizarre. I thought people were crazy for doing that, but actually it feels so beautiful. You know, our hands are an extension of our heart. Put them on a tree. They're breathing, living creatures. It's so beautiful.
You know, the last time I did that, it was ants all over me. I just got covered in ants. Then I was dancing around the field trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, don't hug that one.
Focus on changing yourself, not changing the world. A really good exercise here is to write down all the things in your life you'd like to change. You need to change your partner, you need to change your children, you need to change your friends at school, you need to change the whole world. Write a list of what you want to change, and then screw it up and throw it in the bin because you can't change any of it. And then say to yourself, actually, I'm going to change me. Change me. And actually what happens, interestingly, it's very interesting, this is if you change yourself, you change your view of all those things. I think that's quite extraordinary, actually, because I always thought I wasn't the problem at all, but I was absolutely perfect. There was nothing wrong with me, but everybody else was the problem, and the world was the problem. If only it would all change overnight, I would be absolutely fine.
But you lived and learned, and then you realise once you change those thought patterns, as we're trying to give you tips how to do today, it all just falls into place, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not easy,
but it is amazing when it starts to happen.
One thing about it is, you know, to change myself, I have to say, oh, I've got lots of problems that need changing.
Yeah, and that's all about putting that ego to bed, isn't it? Put that ego to bed. We know we don't need to be people pleasers. We cannot save the world. We cannot heal the world. But actually we can. The way we can do that, as you've just said, is by changing ourselves. And if we change our vibrations, and if everybody else was to work on themselves, could you imagine the vibration of the world lifting? It would be so beautiful. And this is what we talk about. The way to peace is self-love. Next tip, Sue.
Last tip.
Have we done all 15? Blimmin' heck, go for it.
Last one is make the most of what you have, even if what you have is imperfect. Perfect is in the imperfect.
I love that.
Isn't that great? Even if you write it down, the word perfect is in imperfect. So in every single situation, there is perfection in the imperfection.
Yes, change it to I'm perfect instead of imperfect. Because at the end of the day, what is perfect?
I've got a lovely poem.
Go on. I love poems. Go for it.
I've only got this poem because a friend in England called this morning and she said she listens to every single podcast and she thinks they're absolutely amazing. And she loved your poem that you read out the other day. So I thought, poems are really lovely. I'm going to get a poem for today. And she wrote down your poem and she wrote notes from the podcast. And the only negative thing was that she couldn't sleep because she listened to it at night and there was so many thoughts going around her head. It resonated so much. So I'm reading a poem out because of my girlfriend in England.
Oh.
If only I could buy, this is to do with thoughts, by the way. If only I could buy little packets of the right thoughts, like seeds, plant them in my mind and watch them take root in all the places the green should have been growing all along. I don't regret you, but I wish I did.
Oh, I love
I like that, because it's about seeds, isn't it? Every thought we have is a seed we're planting, and everything in the universe is about seeds growing. It's about the harvest. It's about you reap what you sow. Our thoughts are like little seeds. Imagine a packet of seeds in your hand today, if you're listening, and imagine just planting them inside your soul. What seeds do you want to sow? Because whatever you sow today, you will reap the harvest, not tomorrow, but through the seasons. In the spring and summer, when that comes into your life, the next season comes, you will reap what you're sowing today.
I love it.
What do you want in 6 months' time?
It only takes one little negative seed to grow like weeds, remember. So we are trying to plant lots of little positive seeds. And that's why when we wake up in the morning, we say, good morning. I'm so excited about the possibilities that today will bring. And when we say nice thoughts to ourselves, it's another little seed planted of positivity. And when we get those negative thoughts and we go, thank you, but no thank you, there's another little seed of positivity planted. And before you know it, you've got a whole little meadow of beautiful flowers in your brain.
Love it. And the reason Joe and I got together to do podcasts was we were so shocked at the suicide stats in New Zealand. We have the highest in the world here. We want to fight to improve mental health, not just only in New Zealand, but around the world. Our heart, our passion is mental health. So if you're listening to this and it has benefited you in some way, please share this with your friends. Ask them to like our Facebook page, which is Pods with Posh and Paul. We want to make a difference. If you look at the percentage rates of depression, which lead to suicide, there will be a lot of people on your own friend list on Facebook that suffer depression. You don't know who they are. You won't necessarily know who they are. They might not say. But if you can share the podcast because they've been useful to you, get them on board, then we can carry on changing lives together.
Absolutely. We're also on YouTube, aren't we? We've got our own YouTube channel. So sometimes you can listen to our podcast or you can actually see us and watch our silly little antics, which is also fabulous. So yeah, please like us, share us, and leave us a 5-star review. That would be awesome, because the more we get, the more guests we can get on our show. And if you want us to get any particular guest, also write in and let us know. And on that happy note, Sue, I think we'll leave everybody for today, and we'll be back again tomorrow. And we have got some awesome people coming on the podcast as well soon. It's not just going to be Sue and I. We've got some great people coming, so watch this space. Love, light, and peace. Go forth and change those thoughts.